Hello students, Maurice here. In the previous lecture, we discussed the negation of a compound statement. In that, we discussed negation of conjunction, negation of disjunction, and negation of negation. Now, today we are going to see next point: negation of implication, negation of conditional or negation of implication. Same, negation of conditional, negation of conditional statement or negation of implication. Implication. Suppose this what P. This what it is a conditional statement of two simple statements P and Q. It is a conditional statement of two simple statements P and Q, and our point is that negation of a conditional statement means just negation of that conditional statement. Negation of conditional statement of two simple statements P and Q तो काय असतो is directly घ्यायचा आहे आपण. negation of conditional statement of two simple statement त्याचा negation काय येतो just the conjunction between first statement P as it is and just the negation of second statement Q, just the negation of second statement Q. ठीक आहे. this what a negation of conditional statement. negation of conditional statement, negation of conditional statement तो काय असतो is equivalent to first statement P as it is, then conjunction and just take negation of second statement, just take negation of second statement, which is the negation of conditional statement, two simple statement or a conditional statement. For example if you take, for example if Qutub Minar is in Delhi, then Taj Mahal is in Agra, ठीक है. Statement or write the negation of the following statement. Write the negation of the following statement. Statement कोणता आहे? If Qutub Minar is in Delhi, then Taj Mahal is in Agra. Taj Mahal is in Agra. It means it is conditional statement. It is a conditional statement of two simple statements. There are two simple statements. Which one? This one statement that we suppose write P statement, and then another statement आहे त्याला आपण म्हणतो Q statement. This Q statement. ठीक आहे. This what? It is a conditional statement of two simple statement. म्हणजे काय? P conditional Q. हा फॉर्म आहे इथं. If नंतर P statement असतं, then Q statement असतं. Therefore this statement P, that Q, and we have to write whole the negation of that statement. Then negation of that statement. Just we study what we know that the negation of. We know that negation of conditional statement of two simple statement, which is what? Which is equivalent to first statement P as it is and second and first statement as it is, and just take negation of second statement Q, which is the required negation of conditional statement. Therefore negation of that statement what will come? First statement as it is. It means first statement as it is. It means Qutub Minar is in Delhi, and next guy conjunction means we use here and just take negation of second statement. Second statement what? Taj Mahal is in Agra. Negation of that Taj Mahal is not in Agra. Therefore and Taj Mahal is not in Agra. Is not in Agra, which is the required negation of the given compound statement, which is the required negation. ठीक है. क्वेश्चन बघा, write the negation of the following statement. Statement कोणतं होतं? If Qutub Minar is in Delhi, then Taj Mahal is in Agra. We observe that it is a conditional statement of two simple statements. There are two simple statements. First statement simple statement this, and second one is Taj Mahal is in Agra. Therefore we denote this statement by P, this statement by Q, and we know that negation of conditional statement तो काय असतो? Which is equivalent to first statement P as it is, middle here, and just take negation of second statement. Therefore first statement as it is, therefore negation of that statement is Qutub Minar is in Delhi. First statement as it is. Middle sign conjunction means and second, just take second statement negation. This negation of that statement. Taj Mahal is not in Agra. Which is the required negation? Which is the required negation? Which is the required negation of that given compound statement? Which is the required negation of that given compound statement? Now next one is negation of conditional statement. Next point, negation of conditional statement or double implication. This is what P double implication Q. P double implication Q. P double implication Q. This is what? It is a conditional. It is a biconditional. It is biconditional statement of two simple statements. Or implication. It is double implication of two simple statements. Or simply we call it is a what? It is a biconditional statement of two simple statement. And here आपला point होता है negation of biconditional statement. Negation of biconditional statement means just take here negation. Then what is the negation of biconditional statement? Which is equivalent to negation of biconditional statement of two simple statement. Negation of biconditional statement is equal to which is equivalent to P conjunction with P and negation Q or with Q and negation P. Q and negation P. Q and negation P, which is the required negation of conditional statement. Okay? This statement represent negation of conditional statement. These statement represent negation of biconditional statement. This is what a biconditional statement. This is what biconditional statement. This is what biconditional statement means. Negation of biconditional statement. Negation of biconditional statement. What is the negation of biconditional statement is equivalent to this first statement P as it is and with just take negation of second statement. Then or with second statement Q as it is and with just take negation of first statement P, which is the required negation of a biconditional statement. Which is the required negation of a biconditional statement. For example, if you take if 2n if 2n is divisible by 4 if and only if n is an even integer. N is an even integer. N is an even integer. Write the negation of the following statement. We have to write the negation of that statement. Here we observe that there is logical operator if and only if. Therefore, this is what? It is a biconditional statement of two simple statements. There are two simple statements connected by logical operator if and only if. Therefore, it is a compound statement. And it is a biconditional statement of two simple statements. Means there are two simple statements. Which one? This one first statement. If 2n is divisible by 4, this simple statement, suppose we write it as P statement, and if and only this n is an even integer, this second simple statement that we denote by Q, means there are two simple statements P and these Q are connected by logical operator what? If and only if means double implication means P if and only if Q. P double implication Q, and we have to write the negation of that statement. And we just know what we know: negation of biconditional statement, so which is equivalent to first statement P as it is, just take and with negation of Q, and here or with Q and negation of P, which is what? Required negation of that statement. Therefore, negation of that statement, first P statement as it is, means P statement as it is. While if 2n is divisible by 4, first P statement is as it is. Therefore, negation of that statement, first P as it is. If 2n is divisible by 4, and with here and this and just take negation of Q statement, means this Q statement negation of that n is an even integer, negation of its n is not an even integer. Therefore, n is not an even integer. integer. These we draw. Then this what? Or. Therefore here it is or. Then Q statement as it is. Q statement as it is. Means n is an even integer. N is an even integer. Even integer. And here and just take negation of p. Negation of p. P statement का है if 2n is divisible by 4. Then the negation of p what? If 2n is does not divided by or does not divisible by 4 or not divisible by 4. If 2n is not divisible by 4, which is the required negation of that compound statement of that conditional statement, sorry, biconditional statement. ठीक है, क्वेश्चन क्या होता? Write the negation of the following compound statement. Statement is that if 2n is divisible by 4, if and only if n is an even integer. In that statement we observe that there is a logical operator if and only if. Means it is a biconditional statement. Means there are two simple statements. First one is if 2n is divisible by 4, this simple statement P consider. Then second one is n is an even integer. This one simple statement. Therefore we denote this by q. We denote this by 2. And if and only if logical operator we know that. Means तो काय हे sentence in statement pattern काय होते? P if and only if q. P if and only if q, and we have to find negation of that biconditional statement, and we know that negation of biconditional statement is is equivalent to first statement P as it is, and with just take negation of second statement q, then or with second statement q as it is, and with just take negation of first statement. Therefore the required negation of a given compound statement is first statement P as it is if 2n is divisible by 4, and negation of q, and n is not an even integer, then or q statement as it is n is an even integer, and this and with negation of p if 2n is not divisible by 4, which is the required negation of that compound statement, Now next point is negation of quantified statement. Our next point is negation of quantified statement. Our next point is negation of quantified statement. While forming negation of a quantified statement, we replace the word all by some, and for every by there exist, and vice versa. Next point is that negation of quantified statement. While forming negation of a quantified statement, we replace the word all by some, and for every by there exist, and vice versa. It means suppose we have any one quantified statement, and in that quantified statement we have to write its negation, but in that quantified statement there is all असेल तर all ऐवजी सम घ्यायचं, सम रिप्लेस करायचं आणि देन त्याचं निगेशन लिहायचं. देन नेक्स्ट देअर तिथं फॉर एव्हरी असेल तर फॉर एव्हरीच्या ऐवजी देअर एक्झिस्ट घ्यायचं आणि देन त्या स्टेटमेंटचं निगेशन लिहायचं. सम असेल तर ऑल लिहिणार देन निगेशन घेणार, देअर एक्झिस्ट असेल तर फॉर एव्हरी घेणार आणि देन निगेशन घेणार, विच इज the required negation. The next, for example, suppose I take for example all girls are sincere. The given statement is quantified statement. We have to write its negation. Then if you write negation, then what we do? All, we replace all by some. Therefore negation of that statement is all, we replace all it by some, and then some girls are not sincere, which is the required negation of that quantified statement. Statement is that all girls are sincere. Therefore in place of all we replace some, and then just take the negation of that statement. Therefore what will come? All, in place of all we replace some here. Some girls are not sincere. we get the negation of that statement. We get the negation of that statement. Now this symbol or for all denote, this symbol denote there exist, these denote strictly greater, and these denote strictly less than symbol. Yeah, these denote for all, that denotes there exist, this symbol denote strictly greaterness, and these strictly less than. Then negation of that for all, negation of for all there exist, negation of there exist for all, and negation of strictly greater sign, negation we can write less or equal, and negation of strictly less we can write its negation greater or equal. We can write its negation greater or equal. What is that? For all the negation there exists the negation for all. Strictly greater than त्याचा negation काय होतोय less or equal, and less or equal चा negation येईल strictly greater. Similarly strictly less than sign its negation greater or equal, and greater or equal its negation strictly less than. Therefore take one example based on that sign. Write the negation of the following statement: for all n belongs to the natural number. For all n belongs to the natural number n plus 1 strictly greater 0. Write the negation of that statement. Write the negation of the following statement. Statement is that for all n belongs to natural number n plus 1 strictly greater 0. N plus 1 strictly greater 0. And we know that negation of that statement. Therefore, the negation of that statement, we know that we replace for all by there exists n belongs to the natural number. Here n plus 1 and the greater sign, its negation what? Less or equal 0. Its negation less or equal 0, which is the required negation of that statement. Statement is that for all n belongs to natural number n plus 1 strictly greater 0. Then the negation of that statement what? We replace for all by there exist. Negation of for all there exist. This n belongs to natural number as it is. This n plus 1 as it is. And the negation of strictly greater than sign, we get less or equal sign. Which is the required negation of that statement. Now let us take next point: converse, inverse and contrapositive. Next point is converse, inverse and contrapositive. Converse, inverse and contrapositive, we find converse, inverse and contrapositive only for conditional statement. Conditional statement चाच फक्त converse, inverse and contrapositive find out करता येतो. Conditional statement is what? P, if P then Q. This is conditional statement, or we say that it is implication statement. If P then Q statement. Statement काय असतं? If P, if नंतर P statement, then नंतर Q statement. And these denote conditional statement of two simple statement: converse, inverse and contrapositive. हे फक्त आपण conditional statement is find out करतो. Therefore definition of how to find converse, inverse and contrapositive. For that we want two simple statements. We necessary two simple statement. Let P and Q. Let P and Q are the any two simple statements, and let these P implies Q, and let P implies Q be the conditional statement of two simple statements P and Q, and let P and Q be the conditional statement of P and Q. Conditional statement of P and Q. Then first converse of that statement. Then converse of P conditional Q or P implies Q is converse. What is the converse of P implies Q? Just take this. Converse is Q implies P. Converse is Q implies P. And second one is inverse. Then the inverse of P implies Q is inverse of that statement is that negation of P implies negation of Q. And last one is contrapositive of P implies Q is contrapositive. Negation of Q implies negation of P. This is converse, inverse and contrapositive of conditional statement. Our point is that converse, inverse and contrapositive, we find converse, inverse and contrapositive for only for conditional statement. म्हणजे काय कंडिशनल स्टेटमेंटचाच फक्त converse, inverse, contrapositive आपण फाइंड आउट करू शकतो. And this what conditional statement आपण डिनोट काय करतो? P implies Q. This is the conditional statement of two simple statement. Therefore definition of let P and Q are any two simple statements, and let P implies Q be the conditional statement of P and Q, conditional statement of P and Q, then the converse of P implies Q is, just take Q implies P, which is the converse of P implies Q. The next inverse of P implies Q, inverse of P implies Q is inverse, just take negation of both the substatement. Means what? Inverse of P implies Q is negation of P implies negation of Q. And last one is contrapositive of P implies Q. Contrapositive of P implies Q is what? Negation of Q implies negation of P. Negation of Q implies negation of P, which is the required converse, inverse and contrapositive of a conditional statement P implies Q, where P and Q are any two simple statements. Converse, inverse, contrapositive we find out only for conditional statement. Now let us take one example based on that converse, inverse and contrapositive. For that we want conditional statement. Therefore, for example, if he studies, then he will go college. Then he will go to the college. Okay. Question is that write the converse, inverse and contrapositive of the following statement. Statement is that if he studies, then he will go to college. We have to find the converse, inverse and contrapositive of that statement. First we will find the symbolic form of that statement, and then we will find converse, inverse and contrapositive. The given statement is conditional statement, and we only find आपण फक्त कंडिशनल स्टेटमेंट असेल तरच कॉन्व्हर्स, इन्व्हर्स, कॉन्ट्रापोजिटिव्ह फाइंड आउट करू शकतो. हे गिवन स्टेटमेंट कंडिशनल स्टेटमेंट आहे. फर्स्ट वी हॅव टू राइट इट्स सिम्बॉलिक फॉर्म अँड देन वी विल राइट इट्स कॉन्व्हर्स, इन्व्हर्स अँड कॉन्ट्रापोजिटिव्ह. देअरफॉर फर्स्ट दिस इन सोल्यूशन फर्स्ट लेट पी स्टेटमेंट अँड क्यू स्टेटमेंट, टू स्टेटमेंट घ्यावे लागतील. लेट पी डिनोट ही studies. We want two simple statement. If P then Q means P statement dot. If P means this statement denote P, this statement denote P, and then Q means this statement denote Q, this statement denote Q. Means we get two simple statement. Means in solution first consider two simple statement. Let P denote he studies. P denote he studies. Let P denote he studies, and let Q denote, let Q statement denote he will go to the college. Go to the college. Means we get two simple statements, P and Q. Therefore the symbolic form of the given statement is, next line, therefore the symbolic form of given compound statement is symbolic form by if P then Q, means it is conditional. Therefore we can write its symbolic form is P implies Q, which is the required symbolic form of that given statement. Now we get symbolic form. Therefore now take converse, inverse and contrapositive of that given. Therefore next line, first converse of that P conditional P implies Q is काय तो converse Q implies P. That is what statement घ्यावा लागेल. That is next line, that is Q implies P. It means this statement what denote if Q then P. This conditional statement what? If Q then P. Therefore here we can write that is if Q statement what? He will go to the college. If Q means he will go to the college. he will go to the college. Then P statement what? P statement denote he studies. Then P statement means he studies or he studies whatever. ठीक है. First we find out. First काय केलं? Question is that write the converse, inverse and contrapositive of the following statement. Statement is that if he studies then he will go to the college. आणि आपल्याला माहिती आहे कंडिशनल स्टेटमेंटच फक्त आपल्याला कॉन्व्हर्स इनव्हर्स कॉन्ट्रापोजिटिव्ह फाइंड करता येतो. देअरफॉर गिवन स्टेटमेंट इज कंडिशनल आहे. इफ पी देन क्यू. देअरफॉर इट इज कंडिशनल स्टेटमेंट. देअरफॉर फर्स्ट इन सोल्युशन फर्स्ट वी राइट इट्स सिम्बॉलिक फॉर्म. देअरफॉर लेट पी डिनोट फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट. इफ नंतर टिल अप टू सो ऑन देन पर्यंत पी स्टेटमेंट. देअरफॉर इफ लेट पी डिनोट ही स्टडीज अँड लेट क्यू स्टेटमेंट डिनोट he will go to the college. Q statement denote he will go to the college. Therefore the symbolic form of the given compound statement is that symbolic form कोणता येईल? P implies Q which is a required symbolic form भेटला. therefore आपण घेऊ शकतो converse, inverse and contrapositive. therefore first converse of P implies Q is काय असतो? converse Q implies P that is H in terms of words. H in terms of sentence मध्ये आपण लिहिलं Q implies P. First what? This means what? If Q then P. Therefore first if Q statement is that he will go to the college, then P statement is that then P what? He studies which is the required converse of that given statement. The next one is inverse. Second one is inverse of P implies Q is काय तो inverse? negation of P implies negation of Q. Negation of P implies negation of Q. It means if negation of P then negation of Q which is required inverse of that statement. Therefore that is we can write this statement pattern in terms of sentence. First what? negation of P what? If he studies. If he does not studies, negation of that statement. That is if he does not studies then negation of Q. Then negation of that Q statement. He will not go to the college. He will not go to the college which is the required inverse of that given statement. ठीक है. इनवर्स काय होता? inverse of P implies Q is what? negation of P implies negation of Q. We just do negation of statement P and negation of statement Q. Therefore inverse of that statement what will come? That is if negation of P means this statement is P. Therefore if negation of that statement what? he does not studies. Then negation of that Q statement he will not go to the college. Which is the required inverse of the given compound statement. Now remains what? contrapositive. Now last remains contrapositive. Therefore I can write here contrapositive here. Now next remain is contrapositive of the given statement. Therefore next line. Therefore last one is third one is contrapositive. Therefore contrapositive of P implies Q. Conditional statement P implies Q is what? contrapositive. Negation of Q implies negation of P. Which is the required contrapositive of that statement. Therefore we can write this statement pattern in terms of sentence. This what? If Q statement. If negation of Q then negation of P. This statement. Therefore first what? If negation of Q statement. This statement denote Q. He will go to the college. This statement denote Q. Therefore negation of Q what? He will not go to the college. If he will not go to the college, then negation of P. He studies. He does not study. Then he does not study. Which is the required contrapositive of that given statement. ठीक है. contrapositive क्या होता? contrapositive of P implies Q. contrapositive of P implies Q is what? Negation of Q implies negation of P. Negation of Q implies negation of P. These statement pattern, what denote? If negation of Q, then negation of P. Therefore, we can write this statement in terms of sentence. Therefore, first, if negation of Q statement or negation of Q, he will not go to the college. He will not go to the college. Then negation of P statement here, and negation of P what? He does not study. He does not study. He does not study. Therefore, which is the required contrapositive of that given compound statement? Of that given compound statement. Of that given compound statement. Okay. Now next point. Now next point is. Now we are going to solve some examples in exercise 1.9. Before that, for solving exercise 1.9, before that, on page number 21, there are algebra of statements. Means there are one column over there. There are one column over there. In that column, there are some laws. There are some laws, and these laws you should. These laws तुम्हाला रीड करावे लागतील. ते लॉज ऑन पेज नंबर 21 वरती एक टेबल दिला आहे. त्या टेबलमध्ये लॉज आहे. ते लॉज पाठच करावे लागतील. आणि ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दॅट लॉ और बेस्ड ऑन दिस लॉ वी सॉल्विंग नाउ नेक्स्ट एक्झाम्पल. वी आर गोइंग टू सॉल्व आवर नेक्स्ट एक्झाम्पल ऑन द basis of or on the based page number 21. There is one column over there. In that column there are I think 9 laws over there. First one is idempotent law, associative law, commutative laws, distributive law, identity law, complement law, involution law, De Morgan's law, and contrapositive law. These 9 laws you have to do. The next there are some laws, 9 laws over there. The next there are additional 2 laws over there, 10 and 11. Here I take P if and only Q. P if and only Q. That we known as biconditional law. Biconditional law. What? Biconditional law काय सांगते? P if and only Q is equivalent to P if and only Q is equivalent to P implies Q. P implies Q, and with Q implies P, and with Q implies P. Q implies P. This is what? This is known as biconditional law. Biconditional law. Biconditional law. This biconditional law. And second one is conditional law. Conditional law what? P implies Q, which is equivalent to P. Negation of P joined with Q. Negation of P joined with Q. This is known as conditional law. Conditional law. This is known as conditional law. किती झालं?